Um, Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about the important disease called diabetes mellitus. So, diabetes is a dangerous global disease that is affecting almost 120 million people worldwide. Diabetes is a risk factor to cardiovascular disease, to hypertension, renal failure, retinopathy, and so multiple organ failure. So diabetes is deserve people to talk about it and how to manage this disease. So diabetes mellitus so we are going to talk about this name, diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus is caused by lack of a substance called insulin. So insulin deficiency causes diabetes mellitus. There are two types of diabetes mellitus. Type 1 diabetes mellitus and type 2 diabetes mellitus. Type 1 is caused by autoimmune disease, destruction of B cells in pancreas. The B cells are located in a place called islets of Langerhans, a place called inside the pancreas. The B cells are located there, and that place is called islets of Langerhans. So the B cells, pancreas, they are in pancreas. You have cells, B cells. These are B cells. And you have surrounding these B cells are the A cells. And you have another cells, the D cells, and you have the F cells. Each of these cells produces a particular hormone that affects the metabolic rate of our cells. So diabetes occurs because of lack of insulin. This substance here is produced by B cells. When a person eats food, the food, especially the carbohydrates, when you eat a meal rich in carbohydrates, the meal is absorbed from the intestine, and within 30 minutes, these meals triggers the secretion of insulin by pancreas. So this insulin, what it does is, it acts on insulin-sensitive tissues such as muscles and fat cells. So when it combines when it combines it with its receptor on the cell surface, insulin receptor, when it combines with its receptor on the cell surface, a series of conformational change in a receptor occurs. This results into a activation of an enzyme called adenylyl cyclase, and this adenylyl cyclase will also activate multiple proteins, and the proteins, the result will be a phosphorylation of some of the proteins. Now, one glucose transporter, it is called GLUT4. This transporter is a protein, so they are inside the cell cytosol. So when insulin binds with its receptor, GLUT4 is inside here, so it will be translocated into the cell membrane. GLUT4 will be translocated to the cell membrane, and a lot of glucose will now be transported into the cell so that the synthesis of glucose is done inside the cells. This reaction, this chemical reaction occurs inside the hepatocytes, liver cells. So a lot of chemical reactions that will eventually ends into production of glucose during fasting, and glucose will during for example, after meals, glucose will be stored in form of glycogens, and during fasting, the other hormone will take place, and this hormone is called glucagon. This hormone is produced by the A cells, and I'm going to talk about these two important hormones, insulin and glucagon. So during fasting, glucagon also has receptors on the cell membrane. It goes into the hepatocyte on the surface of hepatocytes, and it combines with its receptors, and this will elicit a series of chemical reactions that will result into increase of CAMP, cyclic AMP. This cyclic AMP will now take on and phosphorylate a series of enzymes on threonine and serine residues, and this enzyme now will be active, and it will, the end result is activation of phosphorylate, which will in turn go to hepatocytes and break down glycogen, and a free glucose will be released into the circulation. So you can see the importance of insulin. So when it is missing, now you will have type 2 diabetes mellitus, and type 2 is more common than type 1. Type 1 is sometimes called juvenile diabetes mellitus because it occurs below the age of 40, whereas type 2 occurs above the age of 40, and diabetes is a serious disease that results into derangement of a lot of metabolic reactions in our bodies. Next time we shall complete we shall talk about management of diabetes and investigations and so on. So this is what I can talk with you, tell you today, and thank you very much. Thank you.